Good morning, everybody. My name's Linaberger, and this is my submission for the new School Creation MOOC class. I am a 17-year veteran teacher, and I've done 5.5 years in administrative work. For the past almost year, I've been an independent consultant doing educational and instructional technology work. In that time, I've been thinking an awful lot about my experiences in education, a lot about what worked and what didn't work, and frankly, creating a school has been something that's been in my mind probably since I started teaching. It's been that kind of thing that's been calling my heart, this notion of creating something from scratch that stretches what's possible in education. I also came to a place, and maybe a lot of us have been like this, where I could see that things weren't working in many of the educational systems I was involved with, and I got really angry about it, and wanted someone to do something about it. And at one point, I actually recognized that the best thing I could do was to do something myself, and this feels like a really honest and truthful way to do something useful. I've been very fortunate to meet a number of potential collaborators who live in the area near me, and we've had a few meetings to talk about how we feel about education, our experiences, what worked, what didn't work, and we're working together to begin to create this idea for a new kind of school that we'd like to create together. So taking the High Tech High New School Creation MOOC was part of my process in preparing me to help facilitate the work with this local group. So I can tell you a little bit about where we are. As for a purpose of school, this group that I'm working with, we all think that focus on academics only is really one of the biggest problems in school today, and we're very much interested in looking at school as a humanistic endeavor, something that's really, we would like to see focused on something that benefits the whole person. So I think we're in agreement. I'm very much interested in creating a very small school, a very intimate, family-like setting, something that prides itself on hands-on, student-centric, student-generated learning. And I've always been very much inspired by Montessori schools and Waldorf schools, and I've had an opportunity to see the work that they do. I am very much impressed with the potential that homeschooling has to offer students the opportunity to direct their own learning. I've been reading a lot more since I heard about the Albany Free School in the MOOC, and I would have to say that I'm very grateful to have heard about it, because in a way the Albany Free School's sort of free-form, make it up as you go along method is precisely what I've been thinking about, and to see that someone's been doing it successfully for 30 years and that there's validity to that feels really great. So I have a suspicion that we will take a deeper look at the free schools movement and have some of the elements of what they do best as part of our model. As for pedagogy, right now I don't know that we're going to do exactly what the free school has been doing. Being an instructional technologist, there's an awful lot of great content out on the internet. I mean, this MOOC is one of those examples. So right now we're lightly thinking about a half and half kind of a model, where in the mornings our students will be learning specific content that we're not going to direct them into it, but we're going to help students determine what it is that they'd like to actually do with themselves, what they're interested in, what career path they might like to follow, and guide them into content that's not only meeting those interests and those career goals, but is developmentally appropriate for them. So we're considering using some existing online coursework to differentiate for the student body in that method, in that manner. But we also want that to be very much tied directly back into project-based work, which will happen in the afternoon. In the morning, students all will be gathered together in the same open learning space doing that and have the opportunity, if they're taking the same classes, to collaborate, to work with staff in face-to-face, even though they're taking classes online, and to get support, direct support. So you could think maybe kind of a collaborative homeschool environment in that sense, or a hybrid online learning space in the morning. Afternoons, we're thinking will be focused on project-based learning, and the thought that we have currently is it's not unlike what's going on at High Tech High, but we're very much interested in the students identifying issues in the community that they live in and tackling them as a project-based learning activity, with the outcomes being related to actually providing a particular solutions. We haven't set on a location yet, but we can imagine if we were to create a school in a small post-industrial town, students might create a business, or research a business that would be appropriate to open in that little town or village. We can imagine, if we were working in a rural area, students researching organic farming, creating an organic farm stand or a truck farm or something like that, becoming part of a co-op. If we were to open a school in a suburban area, much like the project that we saw in the Deeper Learning MOOC, there was a review of a project that one of the teachers did where the students built a tiny house. So we envisioned that students might do research on energy consumption, on green building, and they might actually build something or retrofit buildings, things like that, in their suburban neighborhoods. The project-based learning would actually be generated from the community in which the school would be located. And because we haven't picked a community, we haven't actually found a community that's interested in working with us yet, I can't actually tell you where we're going to be located. Our group is very much interested in the marginalized students, so students who don't fit in because of weight, race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, learning quote-unquote disabilities. I think we are all committed to looking at everyone as differently abled. But we're interested in the kid who's basically frustrated with the current educational system and just isn't finding satisfaction or enjoyment in that process. And we're interested in catching them before they actually get into trouble. So the demographics of the school may end up matching the community in which the students live. There may be some lack of homogeneity, or there may be some homogeneity in the sense of race, depending on the communities where we locate ourselves, but we do have some thoughts about using outreach, some more diverse staff. We have some ideas about providing diversity through other mechanisms. The inspiration for this place-based group of kids, this marginalized group of kids, comes from one of our group members who just happened to have, as a young person who is just out of high school, who was living in a very wealthy neighborhood but didn't fit in, and was starting to get into trouble, and had an opportunity to participate in an alternative education setting. It was a place where there was career technical education in the morning, and then an alternative school placement in the afternoon. That placement school has since closed, and there's a real gap and a real need for something like that. We've decided not to go down the route of opening an alternative school because of a lot of the issues around licensure, and frankly because of the freedom to do the things that we'd like to do. But the lack of good alternative schooling is one of the main reasons why we're interested in starting a school of this nature. And we're very fortunate to have this young woman, and her boyfriend is also a product of these alternative schooling model. We're very fortunate to have them be part of our planning committee, so they are providing us with the voice of the student who needs that kind of setting. As for faculty, I've actually struggled with this idea for some time, because I'm not sure that the traditional teacher can actually do what it is that we're hoping to do. I mean, I've had to spend a lot of time undoing and unlearning a lot of the things that I was taught as a teacher. I mean, I've had to unlearn very rigid curriculum thinking and very rigid assessment thinking in order to be able to conceive of this kind of a different school. So one of the ideas that we have, we spoke with a business recruiter actually who recommended that we look into partnering with a school of education and taking interns in their junior year, education interns in their junior year, and working with these young pre-service teachers to give them a chance to see what it is that we're doing. So it's kind of not unlike what High Tech High is doing in having their own school of education. I don't know that we have the capacity to do that right now, but we're thinking about, as we're doing our startup, bringing in a couple juniors in education and seeing if they're a good fit with what it is we're looking for. There are several of us in this planning group who have degrees in education, so it is very likely that we will actually do some of the instructional pieces at the outset, and I think that that's great. And the recruiter, as he talked with me a little bit about how to find the right kind of person, did say he agreed that mentoring and grooming young teachers in this kind of different way of educating students wouldn't be a bad idea. So it's not unlike what High Tech High's doing with all of its schools and creating programs that help teachers prepare to become teachers of this different way of thinking about education. So as for hiring, in my assignment I wrote a little bit about parents will be a very big part of this, because I imagine we believe that not only will we have some hired teaching staff, we will have lots of people from the community coming in and being part of the project-based learning activities that happen in the afternoon. I mean, so if we're working in a community that students are working on building a small business, a lot of the learning that they'll get will come from business owners in the community or economics faculty from one of the local colleges. So we're not looking at our staff as these singleton teachers. We're really looking at the fact that we're going to have lots of different kinds of people coming in and out and providing instructional supports for our students. And it's interesting, I've been thinking a lot about High Tech High does the internships in a sort of a backwards way. We're going to be trying to bring a lot of these folks in to the students, and that's not to say that they won't have the opportunity to go out and visit businesses, or if they're out in rural areas, go visit other farms, or if they're in suburban areas, visit site locations or other businesses. We certainly will do that, but I think we're looking at bringing the internships in as part of our project-based learning. We're actually working on a series of workshops that we hope to offer in the region for either homeschool families, for alternative school families, to see if we can start to identify a community that's interested in working with us. So we're really at those very basic beginning stages. I apologize for not having more to share with you all in regards to a firm plan. I guess really the only other thing that I've been thinking about to share with you is in terms of facilities. We're very much committed to recycling, reusing, rehabilitating old buildings where that's at all possible. We have a colleague who's working with us. We actually have two different options of people, a traditional architect, and we also have someone who has certifications in, he can do LEED certification, but he's fluent in some of the new green building best practices. So we hope to, wherever we locate ourselves, we hope to actually use an existing building and make best practices in building rehabilitation and green building be a big part of what we do. In a case where we would actually decide to build a building, we go with those green building techniques as well. So that's a big part of what we're hoping to do. But I think our main interest is actually in reclaiming a space that's being underutilized and helping our students to learn those same skills. Okay, this has been a really wonderful opportunity. I'm really grateful to everybody who's shared their ideas so readily and so generously. I've learned an awful lot from all of you at High Tech High. I'm very grateful that you've done this MOOC. It couldn't have come at a better time. And I'm sure that we'll be in touch with you all as we go through our process in creating this new kind of school. Thanks a lot.